Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the PRS Silver Sky SE. This is the more affordable version of the Silver Sky. So we're going to dig into this guitar, find out how versatile it is by playing a bunch of different styles for you guys. Stick around to the end if you want to know about the overall construction. We'll pull off the pickguard, look at the pickups, the pots, the switches, as well as the trem block. So we're going to give this guitar the full rundown. This is the PRS SE Silver Sky. The PRS Silver Sky SE. Here are the quick specs. I'll give you guys my opinions on this guitar and on the specs at the end of the video, but here are some of the highlights. Now, we know John Mayer favors vintage guitars. He's played them for many years, so the Silver Sky SE is an interpretation of that. These are the things he likes in a guitar. So starting up on the headstock, we have vintage style tuning machines. Now I've used these on other SE guitars and they're very good. Even though they're unbranded, they are high quality and they feel very good to use. Now moving on to the nut, PRS is usually very good at listing, detailed specs for consumers. But here it just says PRS nut. And if it was bone or if it was Graphtec, they'd probably list it, which leads me to believe it's probably a basic plastic nut. But this guitar has been holding tune very well, and as you guys know, I like to play on a guitar for about a month before I ever consider bringing it to the channel, and such is the case here, and this guitar does hold tune. So even though it's not a bone nut, it's cut nice and it holds tune, so that's good. Now in terms of the neck, well, for the SE line, consumers get one choice: maple neck, rosewood fingerboard. And I think in the vintage colors that they picked for this, or if John was part of that, looks very, very good. This is a classic look for sure. Now in terms of the birds, well, even on his core model, he uses the basic birds, or if it's a maple fingerboard, the hollowed birds or the shadow birds. Here, yeah, they look great, but just very basic. And if you want the abalone birds, you will have to look somewhere else. But I think for a more, vintage or classic look, these ones look good. Now as for the body, well, let's start by looking at the back. Now the first thing to note is we get a contoured heel joint and a very nice, classy looking neck plate as well. Love that. That's a great touch on this guitar. You get the PRS scoop there. Of course, that's really great. Now, the wood on this guitar is poplar. Now, for a guitar like this style, I think most people are used to alder or ash. Ash not as common anymore, but poplar is becoming more popular. That's tough to say. Anyway, more manufacturers are using poplar. It's a good substitute. This guitar is 7.3 pounds. I threw it up on my scale. So very light, so that's great. And we have some proprietary SE pickups. That's one thing I've loved about PRS right from when they launched their SE line years ago, is they never put crap pickups in their guitars. They always took their time and did SE versions of the pickups, and they've always sounded great. I mean, they could go to China and order 10,000 of them for 50 cents a piece and put them in their guitars, but they actually put really nice pickups in their SE line. So I've never been disappointed by these. So yeah, we'll plug them in and hear them in a second. As I mentioned, we'll pull the pickguard off at the end, look at the switch and the pots just to see if they're full size, if they're dime size, whatever. An interesting note is we've got a 2-point trem. And this is a vintage style guitar, including the radius. So this isn't a flat radius guitar. It's fairly round. But yeah, we've got a 2-point trem and it works well. The interesting thing is PRS on their core line will use 6-screw trems and they work really well. So interesting choice to go 2-point here. Other than that, let's plug this guitar in and see what this guitar sounds like. All right, you guys, I'm plugged in and ready to rock. Let's find out what the SE sounds like. Let's start in the neck pickup. Everything's wide open and completely clean. Yeah, lovely, lovely stuff. As I mentioned, these SE pickups are very good. So sounds great. And even when you switch to your fingers, you can really get some nice soft. Yeah, really great stuff. Let's go to position 4 here and yeah, I don't know, play a little funky John Mayer here. Lots of quack on that position 4, as it should be on a guitar like this. Great stuff. Let's go to position 3 here and maybe play something with a little more chime. Yeah, really nice. And then position 2. Yeah, great on position 2 and position 4. And then on the bridge, I think we'll add a little bit of gain. So I'll switch channels and be back. So I've got some crunch dialed in. We're in the bridge pickup and everything is wide open. Here's what that sounds like. So wide open like that, really brash, tons of brightness. Yeah, so all the brightness you could want, and then that's where that separate bridge tone control comes in. You can dial that out, dial some of the brashness out. So a little bit of that zinginess still, but without, like that. Sometimes those bridge single coils can make your ears bleed. So just having the control over that is lovely. Full tone. So yeah, lots of versatility there. All right, now that we've heard a few tones on the Silver Sky SE in isolation, I'm gonna switch up styles completely and jam over a backing track. Link to the track, as always, is in the video description below. It's time for the 1-minute solo. All right, next up, let's throw the Silver Sky onto the desk. Let's look under the pickguard, find out what the internals look like. Here we go. All right, I've gone ahead and removed all the screws from the pickguard, so we should be able to just slip it out. I've loosened off the strings here, as you can see, so I'm hoping I can keep the strings on and just slip out the pickguard and take a look. We'll find out. I gotta say, this little notch in the back plate to adjust the tension of your pop-in bar, really nice feature. That's awesome. That pop-in bar, that's a high-end feature there. That's lovely to see on that guitar. And just the fact that you can quickly adjust it there. That's perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if I can't, very carefully, I'm gonna slip this rag under there because the bottom of the 5-way switch, they can be sharp and they can, you know, they can mess up your paint here. So we'll try to just do that and see if we can just sneak it out. And I've lowered the pickups as well. So I'm hoping that I can keep these strings on and we can just take a peek. So let's see if I can slip that out. Strings always just get caught on the pull pieces, so we just got to be careful there. We got the rag under and off we go. Okay, so great to see that there's some shielding paint there. So hopefully you guys can see that. I'll just see if I can slip it over really quickly. So it's shielded underneath. That is lovely to see. Yeah, really nice. Okay. And let's see if we can flip this over. Now it is pretty tight on some of the wires. Oh, to the output jack here. So I guess I could loosen that, but I'm just gonna see if we can flip it over without stressing out that wire too much. I'm just gonna tip it up here. There we go. So yes, definitely Alnico pickups, and sorry for the camera angles. There it is, that's what we wanted to see. Full-size pots and a metal switch. So no plastic on the output, or on the 5-way switch rather, and 3 full-sized pots. Lovely to see, and hopefully if we can get a shot there, clearly Alnico pickups. They really sounded like them, so I was assuming, because there's no bar magnets on the bottom, the pull pieces are the magnets. So there you go, not the best view, but at least we got to have a little peek in there. I'm always curious when, you know, a new model comes out, you know, are they changing things? Are they using cheaper components? You know, so on and so forth. So I do like to pull off the pickguard and just see. So great to see a full, you know, metal switch, full-size pots. That's awesome. Next up, let's take a peek underneath the trem cover. Now, just looking through the slots where you'll put your strings, it looks very beefy. Let's take a look there. And yes, it is very, very beefy. And right now, from, you know, the factory, it came decked. So in other words, the trem unit was sitting right on the body. Obviously, you could float it and that kind of stuff. But yes, there it is. Really nice looking block, very substantial. All right, so now let's talk about the overall construction and my final thoughts on the Silver Sky SE. Now, let's start with my 2 gripes on this guitar. Number 1, the plastic tuning buttons. On an otherwise really beautiful guitar, they even sound really cheap when you go out, you know, to tune them. They feel bad in the hand. So I'm not sure why they went with the plastic buttons again. The Paul's guitar, I said the same kind of thing. Exquisite guitar in every way, very different than this guitar, but has its own voice and all that stuff. Really well made guitar, beautiful, but it had plastic buttons. And I said the same thing there. It just feels out of place on such a nice guitar. So I don't know why they're doing the plastic buttons, but they feel bad in the hand, as I mentioned. They feel cheap when you're just, you know, yeah, I don't know. So maybe replacing those, but on a guitar in this price range, I would just prefer some classic metal ones like everybody's been doing forever. So that's my one gripe. Tuning machines actually are really nice, as I mentioned. The guitar holds tune, but that's somewhere where I feel like it could be upgraded for sure. The second thing is the truss rod cover in the same area of the guitar here. Again, very cheap plastic. It's not beveled and it says nothing on it. And I feel like, you know, this back plate is just really nice, hits the mark, classy, looks good, you know, and then on the front, just plain plastic. So I think even just a simple engraving of Silver Sky right there, that's all it would take. It would class it up. It would look great. And, you know, on a guitar that doesn't say anything, you know, other than on the back, it would be nice just to have a little Silver Sky in there. I think it would just make that area of the guitar feel not as cheap. Now, the rest of the guitar, very, very nice. And that's why I'm griping on that, because it does feel a little out of place. So fretwork is average for this price, or even a little bit above average. It's good fretwork on this one. Fret ends feel very nice. They look good. No grittiness on the frets at all. No choking up high, even though it is a bit of a rounder radius. So that's great. And then on the body, yeah, no issues. It's hard to mess up, you know, this style of guitar bolt on neck like that. So plays really nice. Love the satin on the neck, if I haven't mentioned that. Really beautiful neck profile on this one. So it hits the mark if you want those classic tones in a slightly different package than usual. The Silver Sky is very beautiful. I love the tones. As I mentioned, great job on the pickups, great job on the playability, lightweight. So lots to love on the Silver Sky. So overall, great job from PRS and John on this guitar. The Silver Sky SE is fun to play, it's lightweight, and it sounds great. What more could you ask for? I gotta give props to PRS. They've never, from the beginning of the SE line, been afraid to bring their super high-end core models down to a price where normal people can, you know, aspire to and afford, or at least save up for a bit and afford. Always got to give props to PRS. There's not a lot of companies that do that, especially with these, yeah, like real specialty guitars, like the Paul's guitar, like I reviewed a while ago, and the Silver Sky SE along with their main lineup. So huge props to PRS for bringing all those like crazy awesome guitars down in price to the SE. They're well built, feel good to play, sound great, so great job. A link to the SE in the video description below. You can get all the detailed specs down there, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the demo. If you did, be sure to subscribe to my channel. We got lots of great content lined up for you guys moving forward. Have yourself a great week. Take care.